These super creepy abandoned places have been hiding evil secrets for decades. The Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, located in West Virginia, the Lunatic Asylum operated from 1864 to 1994. This hospital was designed to treat patients with innovative architectural features such as large windows and plenty of natural light. However, the hospital's history is marred by reports of patient mistreatment, neglect, and experimentation. Many patients were subjected to inhumane treatments, including lobotomies and other forms of torment. Today, the asylum is said to be haunted by the spirits of former patients, and paranormal investigators have captured evidence of unexplained phenomena. Now, in 2007, it was privately purchased and has become a museum/historic location and ghost hunting spot. It has a most unpleasant and dark history, and one person on Reddit actually shared their experience as a guide for the asylum. They wrote about their experience, basically saying that in 2001, I retired from my position as a guide and ghost hunt event manager under severe burnout. After all that I experienced there, it solidified in my mind that paranormal things that defy rational explanation do indeed happen, and certain phenomena are absolutely real. They went on to share a couple of strange things that they experienced in their time there. In their words, they said, "One evening while training for the job, I was on the first floor with a couple coworkers while everyone else was touring upstairs. We were just kind of killing time, quietly observing the area. Lights from outside was coming in through the windows, casting on the inner hall's wall. Now in that light, I watched the perfect silhouette of a man from head to toe walk through that light from left to right. I said something about it, and the three of us watched as an arm and hand moved into the light from the right side. I immediately ran into the room and began looking out the window for someone outside. There was no one there. At that time, the realization that from the ground to the bottom of the window is like 7 feet. It didn't even occur to me. I will never forget the crisp, clear silhouette shape for as long as I live. Spooky. This is one place I don't think I have any interest in visiting anytime soon." The Central State Hospital. In Indiana, the Central State Hospital was once a sprawling complex of buildings that housed thousands of patients. Now, the hospital was notorious for its overcrowding, poor conditions, and experimental treatments. One of the most disturbing practices was the use of lobotomies, which were performed on patients as young as 12 years old. The hospital's dark history has led to numerous reports of paranormal activity, including ghostly apparitions and unexplained noises. Now, the story begins after the Civil War at the Howard's Grove Freeman Hospital, created for or from a former Confederate hospital in 1868. Now, in 1882, a 300-acre farm called the Mayfield Farm in Dinwiddie County was purchased and upgraded to open as the new Central Lunatic Asylum. Over 400 patients were transferred from Howard's Grove to the new asylum, with over another 100 others on a wait list, basically. Now, the asylum was the only one to cater exclusively to African Americans in the entire state. In 1894, legislation was created to change the image of these hospitals, so the Central Lunatic Asylum became Central State Hospital, or just Central State. Now, politicians hoped the name change would evoke positive feelings towards these facilities, patients, and medical staff, but by the 1950s, the hospital had reached its maximum capacity with over 4,800 patients. Over 80 buildings on the campus and another 200 acres had been bought, so Central State Hospital was essentially a small city at this point. Spooky abandoned asylums are always haunted, right? Well, it seems like Central State is just no different. While there are no named ghosts, there are plenty of stories from patients and staff about objects moving, lights flickering, and shadow people running around campus. There are even stories from police officers who have seen and heard things. Moans, wails, screams, and cries are said to echo around the crumbling buildings in the dead of the night. Plants like ivy and trees grow up and through the abandoned buildings. It's a creepy sight to behold. There's a cemetery on the campus filled with nameless graves. Pripyat, Ukraine, the ghost town of Chernobyl. Now, Pripyat was once a thriving city built for workers of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. On April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 exploded, releasing radioactive material into the air. Now, the city was evacuated on April 27, 1986, one day after the Chernobyl disaster. disaster. The residents were told, it was just a precautionary evacuation. However, they never returned, and today nature is taking it back. Trees basically grow through apartments, schools still have toys and lesson plans frozen in time. Picture books, children's dolls, and hundreds of gas masks are among the personal items that are actually left behind in this ghost town, which paint a very, eerie picture of all that remains of a community that was once 50,000 people strong. But darker stories persist. Visitors report hearing disembodied voices, counters of spiking in empty rooms, and also the black bird of Chernobyl, which is said to be a winged creature that's said to have appeared before the explosion, possibly, a harbinger of demise. Now, the real horror, though, is the Soviet cover-up, the delay in evacuation, the silencing of whistleblowers. It wasn't just radiation that poisoned the people, but secrets. Urban explorer Adam Mark from Denbighshire in Wales, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, visited the exclusion zone just a few days ago and recorded new footage of the city, which appears to have been frozen in time. Now, haunting snaps include a nursery with rows of cots, mattresses, and dolls still eerily in place, whilst other photographers or other photographs show thousands of gas masks just lying abandoned on the floor, and the theme park rides, which are now being swallowed up by nature. Everyday objects such as toys, books, even medicine bottles can still be seen, as residents were told they would be able to return home in like 3 days. Yet, almost 40 years later, the Soviet town still lies completely abandoned. Adam actually said, you aren't supposed to go there at all because it's just so dangerous. The buildings are unstable and the floors are seriously dodgy. It was all pretty eerie and quite sad, really. But the most fascinating building for him was the morgue. There were untouched jars full of liquid in there, perfectly preserved. Now, the city remains abandoned today, a haunting reminder of the devastating consequences of human error. The city's abandoned buildings, schools, and hospitals are a testament to the lives that were disrupted and destroyed. Many believe that the city's radiation-contaminated environment has led to very strange and unexplained phenomena, including glowing anomalies and unexplained radiation readings. Poveglia Island in Venice, Italy, or better known as the gateway to hell. When it comes to this island, it's a little hard to tell what is true and what is made up, as many suspicions and tales surround the island. Poveglia comprises a group of 3 islands, with 2 being naturally formed and the 3rd resembling Venice through the use of wooden pillars and layers of earth. Now, one island is entirely vegetation, the other houses the main buildings, and finally the smallest is an octagon used as a small fort to protect the island and act as a fort before reaching Venice. Now, the island first welcomed inhabitants in the 7th century, and throughout the following years it grew into a peaceful little community that avoided invasions occurring on the mainland and other stuff. By avoiding the mainland, they also were lucky enough to avoid taxes, creating a very happy community, as you can imagine. They would often trade with nearby, people, just mostly avoided the Italian peninsula. Now, this tiny island in the Venetian lagoon is known as one of the most haunted places in the world. In the 1700s, it was used to quarantine plague victims, literally dumping grounds for the recently passed on. Now, later in the 20th century, it became a psychiatric hospital. According to legend, a doctor there experimented on patients performing crude lobotomies. He later threw himself, or was thrown, that's kind of unclear, off the hospital bell tower, claiming he was haunted by the souls that he tormented. You'll find Poveglia floating off the southwest end of Lido di Venezia. Now, today the island only hosts a few small buildings on the main island, which is entirely abandoned. It's now completely off limits to visitors, so you can't go. Fishermen avoid its waters, locals won't even sail near it. Historians estimate over 100,000 people passed away in Poveglia. Now, some say the soil is basically 50% human ash. At least that is one of the rumors floating around. Now, with all the victims of the plague, the hospital didn't know how to get rid of the bodies, so they just decided to burn them. This isn't just an abandoned island, it's a mass grave. It's tough to say which version of the story might be creepier, seeing the abandoned land and the destroyed structures. You can't help but feel the weight of the patients who live there and contemplate the sad stories of the island. Which abandoned location would you want to visit if you could? Let me know. I'm your host Ashley. Until next time, stay scared. These terrifying evil forests and parks are responsible for the disappearances of thousands of people. Here are their stories. The Black Forest in Germany. A photograph purportedly showing Germany's Black Forest is frequently circulated on social media, along with the claim that the wooded area caused 15,000 missing persons cases last year. While some people have challenged the picture and said it's fake news, others have openly discussed the topic and argued that there may be a lot of truth to it, because it's been alleged that an unusually high number of people have in fact gone missing there. The Black Forest in Germany is known for its dense woodlands, picturesque landscapes, and folklore, but it has also been associated with various disappearances over the years that have basically turned into cold cases. While some stories and legends highlight mysterious cases, the region is not particularly notorious for ongoing disappearances.